Finally, it's here. Acerola Bon Appetit has been adapted to the small screen, and the animation quality does not disappoint. This has got to be one of the most aesthetic episodes of the anime to date. I was captivated by every shot of Corpse Castle, every dynamic action sequence, every close-up on Acerola's beautiful face, and every blink of Deathtopia's eyes. There were a lot. Speaking of Deathtopia, I was really surprised that the gender ambiguity only appeared to be as such in the teaser. They made it very obvious in the first episode what her gender is. But that said, I do love the character design, particularly the dagger holding her cape up. Tropicalesque's design was alright, but a tad basic. He made up for it with that voice performance though, and the moment that Topia stepped on him, all I can say is, it should have been me. Seriously though, their dynamic was every bit as fun as I'd hoped. Since this is Shinobu's origin story though, let's get back to her. I love how they continue to reinforce the theme of duality with Shinobu through visual imagery related to Acerola. The apple that acts like her beating heart is both a reference to the fruit of temptation and the poisoned apple from Snow White, yet is also a form of sustenance in the moment that Deathtopia bites into it. During their dialogue in the cottage, Deathtopia points out how Acerola is powerless and can only destroy everything in her path despite her best efforts, yet her ability to do so in the first place is described as on the level of a plague during the discussion of the beautiful princess with Tropicalesque. Acerola's eyes are also heterochromatic, one a dull gray and the other a more vivid red. Come to think of it, there's a strange duality in Deathtopia's existence as well. Death inevitable implies a lack of choice in the matter, yet the name, or is it title, Suicide Master does the opposite. Also, Deathtopia blames her frequent cause of death on Acerola, but Acerola rightfully points out that if Deathtopia didn't try to kill her, she wouldn't keep dying. It's really fascinating how they parallel each other in this sense, and I think that's another way of pointing out how Deathtopia will come to influence Shinobu's identity as a vampire in many ways. We've already seen little bits and pieces of this. There's the obvious naming sense, and there's also what's believed to have once been Shinobu's signature kaka laugh. Now we know where that comes from. Then there's the lofty form of self-address and language choices overall. There's also a hint that Acerola's later outfits are somewhat influenced by Deathtopia's preferences based on the glimpses that we get into the looks for Deathtopia throughout the episode. It makes sense now actually how the puritanical puppet Deathtopia could have influenced the puritanical design of Tropicalesque's outfit. Food for thought. On a completely unrelated note, I also couldn't help but notice how Disney has such a tight grip on the collective cultural understanding of fairy tale princesses. When we first see Acerola, she is sitting by the fire like the most iconic Disney princess, Cinderella. Her outfits look like a mix of Aurora and Belle's dresses, and the background recalls scenes from the early Disney princess movies. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but knowing Shaft, it probably was. Though, knowing Shaft, there are probably other fairy tale references unrelated to Disney that I'm simply lacking the awareness to pick up on. The only other thing that I feel was lost in the adaptation, at least so far, is how much of a loser Deathtopia actually is. While reading Waza Monogatari, she comes off as very immature and stubborn. It's adorable how clumsy and occasionally incompetent she actually is with her emotions and, honestly, her livelihood. She keeps dying. It's expressed in her internal monologue. We do get a hint of this when she's manipulating Acerola into staying, but it was a bit more desperate and clumsier in the book. Perhaps we'll see more of this side of her in the following episodes, though. Anyway, the last thing I want to gush about is how good the music is. The music really elevated every scene. In fact, the overall sound design was just very effective. I couldn't help but notice it. And this season of Monogatari has been surpassing my expectations with every episode, and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but I hope I was able to say at least a few interesting things about this episode, and that's because I probably won't be shutting up about it for the rest of the season.